The atmosphere surrounding Zhang Ling and Tian Xiwei has taken another dramatic turn, and this time, the story is no longer being shaped only by whispers, speculation, or rapidly spreading conversations online. Something more serious appears to have entered the picture. The title alone has sent fans into a wave of shock and curiosity because it suggests that legal teams have officially stepped into the situation, transforming what may have once seemed like another round of celebrity rumors into a matter demanding a much more careful response. For people who have followed Zhang Ling and Tian Xiwei closely, this development carries a completely different emotional weight. Their names have repeatedly appeared together in discussions, fan conversations, entertainment speculation, and countless online theories, and whenever two highly visible stars become the center of intense public attention, even the smallest detail can quickly become something much larger. But when legal representatives become involved, the atmosphere changes immediately. Suddenly, every statement matters. Every claim can carry consequences. Every rumor becomes something that must be examined rather than simply repeated. And somewhere behind the noise, there are two performers whose professional lives have become increasingly connected in the public imagination, whether through their work, their on-screen chemistry, public appearances, or the endless fascination surrounding their interactions. The most powerful part of this developing story is not simply the idea that legal teams may have stepped in. It is the question of why. What happened behind the scenes that made such action necessary? Was there misinformation spreading too quickly? Were certain claims becoming so widespread that they could no longer be ignored? Were edited photographs, misleading posts, exaggerated rumors, or unverified stories creating an entirely different narrative from reality? These are the questions now hanging in the air, and they are precisely what has made the situation so emotionally intense. In the world of entertainment, public attention can be both a blessing and an enormous pressure. A single photograph can travel across platforms within minutes. A short clip can be removed from its original context and transformed into an entirely different story. A comment can be interpreted in dozens of ways, and before anyone has an opportunity to explain what actually happened, millions of people may already have formed an opinion. For Zhang Ling and Tian Xiwei, whose names have been repeatedly placed together by fans and entertainment discussions, that pressure can become even more complicated. The more people want to know about them, the more difficult it becomes for either person to control the story surrounding them. That is why the mention of legal teams immediately captures attention. Legal action is not something that should automatically be interpreted as proof of any particular rumor. It does not confirm a relationship, deny a relationship, prove a hidden event, or establish that every online claim is false. What it does suggest is that something surrounding the public narrative has reached a level where formal representation may be considered necessary. That distinction is incredibly important, especially when emotions are running high. Fans may desperately want answers, but the most responsible approach is to separate confirmed information from speculation. The title creates a dramatic question, but the truth behind that question can only be established through reliable statements and official information. And perhaps that uncertainty is exactly what makes this moment so gripping. Because while the internet wants an immediate answer, the people involved may be choosing a very different path: silence, caution, and legal channels rather than emotional reactions. Imagine the atmosphere behind the scenes as the online discussion continues to accelerate. Notifications appear one after another. New posts begin circulating. Old photographs suddenly return to attention. Clips that had been forgotten are examined again. Fans search for details, comparing dates, locations, expressions, and fragments of information that may or may not have any connection at all. Some people become excited, believing that the involvement of legal representatives means a major announcement is coming. Others become worried, wondering whether the two stars have been subjected to an overwhelming level of misinformation. And between those two extremes is a much quieter possibility. Perhaps the people involved simply want boundaries. Perhaps they want their professional work to remain separate from speculation about their private lives. Perhaps the legal teams are there not to create more drama, but to stop the drama from growing. This is where the story becomes deeply human. Behind every trending name is a real person. Behind every viral photograph is someone whose life continues after the screen is turned off. Zhang Ling has built a career through performances that have brought him enormous attention, while Tian Xiwei has likewise developed a strong presence through her acting and public work. When two popular actors become associated in the minds of millions of viewers, the fictional chemistry created through entertainment can sometimes become difficult for people to separate from reality. Fans may become emotionally invested in characters, scenes, and stories, and that affection can naturally extend into curiosity about the actors themselves. But the boundary between public admiration and private life remains important. The stronger the spotlight becomes, the more meaningful that boundary can be. For many supporters, the phrase "legal teams officially step in" may therefore feel like a turning point. It can signal that the situation is no longer being treated casually. If inaccurate information has been spreading, formal legal channels can provide a way to address it. If damaging claims have been made, professional representatives can determine what response is appropriate. And if the rumors are simply being misunderstood, an official clarification can eventually help separate reality from online imagination. Yet the emotional reaction among fans can still be enormous because people have spent so much time trying to understand what is happening. Some may feel relieved, believing that formal action could bring clarity. Others may feel nervous because legal involvement sounds serious. Some may simply be waiting quietly for reliable information rather than believing every new post that appears on their feed. There is another layer to this story that makes it even more fascinating. Celebrity rumors rarely exist in isolation. They often grow from fragments. A public appearance becomes a theory. A shared event becomes a discussion. A friendly interaction becomes a viral moment. A photograph becomes evidence in the eyes of people who already believe a certain story. Then someone adds another detail, another interpretation, another assumption, and suddenly an entire narrative exists without a clear foundation. Once that narrative becomes popular, correcting it can be incredibly difficult. People tend to remember the exciting version of a story long after the original facts have disappeared. That is why legal teams may become important in situations involving potentially harmful misinformation. Their role is not about satisfying curiosity. Their role is about protecting professional interests and determining whether particular claims cross a legal